Buying a home in Langley is exciting, but it's also where I see buyers make some of their most expensive mistakes. Not because they're rushed, not because they ignored advice, but because there were risks they did not even know to look for. A lot of the biggest problems do not show up during a showing. They live behind paperwork, behind finished walls, and sometimes are tied to the land and location itself. Some of these risks are manageable if you catch them early. Others can be quite costly and sometimes be between tens of thousands of dollars to even hundreds of thousands of dollars after possession. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the most overlooked property risks I see buyers run into in Langley, where they typically show up, and how to protect yourself before you commit. Langley is an amazing place to buy. You have brand new construction, older neighborhoods, rural properties, and character homes all in the same market. That variety is a huge advantage, but it also means the risk can change depending on what you're looking at. So, let's start with the ones that have nothing to do with how a home looks on the surface. Number one, unauthorized suites. Unauthorized suites are extremely common in Langley. Basement suites or coach houses that were added years ago without permits are something that buyers run into all the time. The risk is not just whether the suite exists, it's how it impacts insurance, financing, and resale. In some cases, municipalities can require a suite to be decommissioned if there are safety concerns or complaints. It does not happen every day, but it does happen. If you're relying on rental income, you want to know early on whether the suite is authorized, whether it can be legalized, and whether a lender will actually recognize that income. Bringing a suite up to code can cost anywhere from $1,000 to $50,000 depending on what's required. And if you want to use this as an Airbnb suite on the side, you have to have an authorized suite. The upside is many suites can be legalized and add real value. You just don't want to assume. You want confirmation before you move forward. Next, we have unpermitted renovations and flipped homes. This one I see constantly. Homes that look amazing but do not have permit history to support the work. Fresh paint, new flooring, and modern finishes can hide water damage, electrical shortcuts, or structural and plumbing issues that were never brought up to code. Here's my general rule. If you see sloppy workmanship in one area, I start questioning what else was done behind the scenes. Sometimes I would rather see a home in original condition because then we know exactly what we're working with. Always verify permits with a city or township and never skip a proper inspection. Fixing issues from unpermitted work can range from $10,000 to well over $100,000 depending on what was done. That said, not all renovated homes are bad. Some are done properly and can save you the stress of renovating yourself. The key is knowing which is which. Now we have bare land strata, leasehold, and RU stratified properties. This is an area where buyers often get caught off guard because the home itself can look completely normal. In Langley, we see bare land strata, leasehold, and RU stratified properties, and there are a few hundred of these RU stratified properties throughout the area. Bare land strata typically means you own the home and the lot, but you share responsibility for things like private roads, utilities, and other common infrastructure. This usually comes with bylaws, shared decision making, and the possibility of special levies. RU stratified properties are very common in Langley. These are typically in RU zones, so rural zoned areas, where a developer can build two homes on one parcel and then stratify them later. There are usually no monthly strata fees, which sounds great, but there is almost always a shared private road. So if you have a good neighbor, road maintenance or repair costs can often be split 50-50. But legally, a neighbor can refuse, which leaves you responsible for the full cost. Another key thing buyers often miss is that the land is technically considered common property. Even though it feels like your yard, if you want to build something like a shed or make certain changes, you may need a written agreement from the other owner. We typically see these properties sharing the same street address but classified as Lot 1 and Lot 2 on title. Next, we have leasehold properties. These are a separate category. You are buying the right to occupy the land for a fixed period of time, rather than owning it outright. Financing can typically be limited Down payments are often higher, and resale becomes more difficult as the lease term gets shorter. None of these ownership structures are inherently bad, but they require a clear understanding of what you are buying. This is one area where working with an experienced realtor is a non negotiable. Now we have outdated electrical systems. Now let's move inside the walls. Older homes in Langley can still have knob and tube wiring or aluminum wiring. Knob and tube wiring lacks grounding and is not designated for modern electrical loads. Insurance can be challenging without upgrades. Aluminum wiring was more common in the 1960s and 1970s and expands and contracts differently than copper, which can loosen connections over time. The important thing to understand is context. Not all aluminum wiring needs to be fully replaced. In many cases, certified electricians can significantly reduce risks throughout proper pigtailing. Electrical upgrades typically range from $10,000 to $20,000, but larger on more complex homes, which will be much higher. You definitely want clarity on this before you remove subjects. Poly B piping. Poly B piping is another one that scares buyers, and understandably so. Replacing Poly B typically costs between $5,000 and $20,000, and that does not include drywall repair. In most cases, contractors need to cut multiple access holes throughout the home to remove the piping. So patching and repainting afterwards can also add meaningful costs. It is also important to understand that the pipe itself is not always the main issue. The fittings, clamps, and water pressure in the home often matter just as much. Some homes with Poly B have never had a problem, others have experienced failures. Insurance companies may still flag it, so it's critical to confirm coverage early and have an inspector look for any signs of past leaks or stress points. The upside is many buyers immediately shy away from Poly B without understanding the full context. When handled properly, it can create a negotiating leverage if you have the budget for replacement and understand the true scope of work. So, for example, I had clients that bought a home in Walnut Grove with Poly B. We got a calculation of what it would roughly cost, and we put that into our negotiations, and we were able to shave that off the accepted offer price. Now, we also have septic systems and private wells, which are very common in Langley. If you are looking in more rural parts of Langley, septic systems and private wells are still very common. These properties can be great, but they also do come with more responsibility. Septic systems can fail if they're undersized, poorly maintained, or near the end of their lifespan. Replacing a septic field can cost anywhere from $5,000 to over $20,000, depending on the soil and system size. Wells bring their own considerations, including water quality, flow rate, and the need for filtration or treatment systems. One thing buyers often overlook is future servicing. As Langley continues to grow, some properties may eventually be required to connect to municipal water and sewer, which can cost $10,000 to maybe $30,000 or more. On the flip side, these homes often offer larger lots, more privacy, lower reliance on municipal utilities. For the right buyer, that trade off makes a lot of sense. We also have stream setbacks, slopes, and geotechnical risks. Some of the most desirable properties in Langley sit near creeks, ravines, or on sloped land. With that beauty comes restrictions. Streamside setback rules can limit where you can build or landscape. Sloped lots may require geotechnical reports before you can renovate or change grading. Those reports alone can cost $10,000 to $15,000 and more, and insurance can become more complicated if ground stability is a concern. This does not mean these homes are unsafe. Many are properly engineered and incredibly desirable. It just means you want the documentation and a clear understanding of the restrictions before you buy. Now we have nuanced locations and future development. Location matters beyond just the neighborhood. Homes near industrial areas, agricultural operations, rail yards, gravel pits, or major infrastructure projects can come with noise, traffic, odors, dust, and long construction timelines. Planned projects can improve the long term value, but the construction phase can affect day to day enjoyment and resale appeal. Reviewing municipal planning documents and development maps helps you understand what is coming and whether the trade offs make sense for you. And last but not least, we have heritage and character homes. These properties are full of charm. But once a home is officially designated, there are limitations on what you can change. Exterior alterations often require special approvals, and restoration work can take longer and cost significantly more than standard renovations. $10,000 can turn into $100,000 very quickly, depending on the scope. The upside is these homes are unique and often command a premium when they are well maintained. So, Langley is a fantastic place to buy, but the biggest mistakes usually come from what buyers do not know to look for. Most of these risks are manageable if you identify them early and bring in the right professionals. Some, depending on your goals and budgets, are deal breakers. If you're considering to buy in Langley and want a second set of eyes on a property, the documents, or overall plan, I'm happy to help. I'll see you on the next video.